Okay, this is one of the most important videos in the onboarding sequence, so please don't skip it. It's in and around curating your environment and what it actually takes to succeed. So, success does not come from willpower. As you know, willpower fades and it's quite fickle and unreliable. It actually comes from skill power and your environment. So, willpower will fade when you're tired, you're stressed, you're busy, and you're overwhelmed. Rather, if you have some skills in place in terms of planning, preparation, awareness, these will actually carry you through. And your environment and how you set that up either supports those skills or it works against them. So if your environment makes things hard, progress will feel hard. So one of our key goals when setting yourself up for success is to reduce the friction and decision fatigue and cognitive load so that the better choice becomes the easier choice. Now, there's some practical ways in which to do this. These are just some examples, but you will likely have many of your own. So things like prepping grab and go meals, having pre-cooked protein at the ready, pre-cooked or pre-cut vegetables, snack boxes, that kind of thing, they will make things a lot easier for you, especially when you're tired and stressed and potentially run down. Pre-logging your meals if you're tracking. Now, I promise this only takes an extra couple of minutes of your day, but it makes things a lot easier and reduces that cognitive load to do with tracking. Removing trigger foods, so out of sight, out of mind. Basically, things like kids' leftovers, that chocolate that sits in the snack drawer. Don't make things harder for yourself by having them constantly lying around. I would advise you to probably remove them, even if it's just temporary. And things like hydration reminders can be really good. One thing that we will be doing is focusing on improving your energy and reducing cravings and helping with appetite and so forth. And water is one of the ways that we will be doing that. But some people might need hydration reminders. So there's plenty of apps that you can download that will ping at you every hour, for example, to remind you to drink some water. Visual cues are another thing that I want you to look at incorporating. So what you see influences what you do. So schedule your workouts, for example. These need to be put in your calendar every Sunday before the week starts, and you need to communicate them with all the people. I want you to treat them like appointments. So if that means putting it in as a meeting in your work calendar, that might be what you have to do. Things like putting your gym shoes, your headphones, and your water bottle in a place somewhere visible so you're ready to go, especially if you've got an early morning workout planned. That's going to reduce a lot of that friction and make it more likely to jump out of bed and throw on your clothes. Having a success station in your fridge and pantry is a really good idea. Just means that when you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed or stressed and you're going for food, if you've got a success station where you've got good choices at the ready, you're more likely to choose those, okay? And also having a visible planner or whiteboard which has your meals mapped out and your workouts is often another thing that I find really helps. So moving on to a bit of a reality check that might be a little bit uncomfortable to hear, to be honest, but it is really important that we mention it. Change requires intention, and anything worth doing is going to take some effort. So whether your goal is improved health, strength, body composition, energy, fitness, progress requires intention. And health-related changes often require trade-offs, not extremes, but conscious choices. So I do want to remind you that there are no hacks and there are no shortcuts. It really is just decisions made on purpose. So this means about choosing what's worth it. And like I said, it doesn't mean giving up everything. It means choosing what is worth it for you. So I often talk about this concept where I don't expect you to sacrifice your life. I definitely don't want you to feel like you've got to crawl into a cave for the duration of the program and not talk to anybody and not live your life. So I don't expect you to make sacrifices, but it's reasonable that you might have to make some compromises. A good example of that is, say you're going out for dinner with your girlfriends. I don't want you to have to skip the dinner with your girlfriends. You don't need to sacrifice it, but you might want to incorporate some compromises whilst you're at that dinner in terms of the number of drinks you have and the food that you choose and so forth. So I want you to accept and understand that those small compromises whilst they might feel insignificant at the time, they do add up over time. This is where it's just doing the boring things and showing up consistently actually gets you the best results long term. So it is about saving indulgences for those moments that really do matter and choosing intentionally. So I have a decision filter, which I often recommend, which is in and around, is it a hell yes or is it a no? So not every event is special and not every situation or decision needs to be treated as a hell yes. So I do want you to stop and ask yourself, is this a hell yes? If it is, great. Go for it, enjoy it, guilt-free, move on. But if it's like, I'm not 100% sure, it's probably a no. A good example of this is, say you are at dinner and you've gone to this special restaurant that has this particular dessert that you have heard about and have been looking forward to for ages, and it's all the things, right? That's probably a hell yes. You've gone into that with a really intentional decision. Enjoy it, guilt-free, move on. Versus, at the end of the dinner, the waiter says, would you like to check out the dessert menu? And you go, oh, yeah, okay, let's have a look. And then you look through and you're like, yeah, it looks all right. That's not a hell yes. That's probably a no, okay? So intention does beat impulse every time. So some other trade-off examples, just so that you can relate this to real world stuff. It's things like maybe swapping cocktails for a gin and soda water. It's having, instead of a whole pizza, it's having half a pizza with a side salad on the side. Bringing your own snacks if you're out and about. It's having one ice cream scoop instead of 3. It's using lighter dressings or having them on the side. It's drinking water between your alcoholic drinks, or even having a night where you sober drive to skip alcohol. You get the drift. It's going not about, oh, I have to sacrifice this night. It's about what compromises can I make for this particular event or so forth, so that I can still feel good as my future self. And now this leads me on to a really important concept as well that I just want to add in and around social occasions and special occasions, which is really important to make the distinction. So special occasions, arguably these happen not very often throughout the year. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times a year. They're things like birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, those sorts of things. Now, you should treat those special occasions like special occasions. Enjoy them, guilt-free, move on. They don't happen often enough to make a difference to your results. Versus social occasions, these actually happen quite frequently, and for some of us, multiple times throughout the week. And what I really want you to focus on is making a differentiation or a distinction between social occasions and special occasions. Do not treat your social occasions like special occasions. So social events or occasions are things like regular dinners, maybe some casual drinks, it's your husband's work do, those sorts of things. You do need to navigate those with intention, because overdoing it once or twice a week will add up quickly, often without us realizing, and frequency does matter here. Now, an important mindset shift that I just want to leave you with before we finish this video is how we're actually going to measure your progress and how to measure your progress properly. So I want you to remember this statement. If you are doing better than the version of you who wasn't trying, then you are progressing. I want you to compare yourself to who you were, not who you think you should be by now. So what I mean by this is aim forwards. It's really good to have goals and so forth in mind, but you measure backwards. So you compare yourself from where you are now in comparison to where you were when you started. It's a better way to measure your success. And finally, I just want to remind you that when you are a little bit wobbly, which will happen from time to time, you need to refer back to your why. Now, this isn't about blame. The reason that you're here isn't necessarily your fault, okay? But it is your responsibility. And I know that might be quite hard to hear, but actually, just bear with me, it's actually quite empowering, because taking back responsibility of your own health and wellness actually gives you the control. And it's really important that you do approach this from a place of positivity. Okay, you get to do this. It's not selfish. It's necessary for your overall health and wellness, and that you can show up better for yourself and for others. And I know it's a little bit cliche, but it really is about choosing your hard. It is hard sometimes, but so is being stuck, and so is feeling frustrated in your body, and so is constantly starting over. So you do need to choose your hard. And part of that is coming back to why you are doing this and making sure that you are approaching it from a place of positivity. So that might mean sucking it up and stopping people pleasing at your own expense. And it might be prioritizing yourself a little bit more. So always come back to your why, because that is what makes the hard days worth it.